Hello everyone, I thought I'd do a 2017 recap video slash 2018 plan video for everyone as it's been a big year. 2017 was a big year and 2018 is going to be a very different year. So besides having done one of these last year and then one even a couple months ago, thinking, Montreal would be the big one, which it ended up being a big one, but not the biggest one. I figured I'd do another one, right? And for anyone who's interested in my thoughts and feelings 2017, this is going to be, I guess, a two-part video because I got a lot of thoughts and feelings about 2017. So I'll do 2017 in review, and then I'll do another one with 2018 hopes and dreams and blah, blah, blah. So let's start 2017 off with what happened first, chronologically, right? With the events that I did and went to. So first and foremost, and this technically started in 2016, but was Nation Wars. A big opportunity given to me by the O Gaming guys, and eternally grateful because it was kind of the jumping off point for, I feel, a lot of what happened for the rest of the year. So I got the offer when I was in Korea last 2 years ago now. That's January. Then I was floored. I didn't expect it. There's no talks or me reaching out or anything like that. But it was great that they asked. I had a great time in Paris, despite what some people said would be a terrible time, and they treated me very well. And I got positive feedback from Nation Wars, and I look back on it as the beginning. Kind of. Even though I've done other live offline events, it just wasn't the same as being paid to go out there to cast, especially Nation Wars, which was a long tournament, went over a couple of weeks. So very different, but just I don't know, great to do. I hope to do it again, actually, if they do it again this year. But anywho, that started things off. As I said, I got pretty positive feedback, not just from the viewers, but also from the industry, right? People were saying that, they were surprised at how well I did being my first offline cast. I seemed to kind of just get things naturally, and I didn't feel very unnatural or too unnatural. Being on camera is always a little weird. But anyways, and I meshed with all the other guys there, and it was a very welcoming experience. If that was what people consider to be my first offline event, then that's actually great. I'd be fine with that. But despite people saying, you did a great job, you'll probably get something in the future, I hope you get WCS, there's only so many WCSs, and I had to be very patient. So continuing on, I went to the Ting Finals at Corsair in California. That was a really cool event. Austin, we did a community cast, which was fun, but we didn't do any guest casting that time. And then I went to Korea for 2.5 to 3 months. So during that, I traveled so much that I didn't feel like I was in Korea for that long. I traveled, I think, 4 out of 9 weekends or something. And, when you consider traveling to and from Korea is in itself like a day, I didn't feel like I was in Korea for that long. But during that time, I talked to the industry people that were there of different games, of different broadcasting studios, hung out with Taste and Artosis and learned a lot from them. It was a great experience overall. Obviously, I love Korea, and I would love to go back and potentially in the future on a more permanent basis, working for something over there, but that's not at all in the plans. Just something that it's always been a dream of mine. And staying there for 3 months was about as close as I think I could ever get. Visas are literally 3 months for Americans, so unless I get a working visa, it'd be, that'd be a different story. But anyways, during my time in Korea, I got the invite to cast Montreal, which I was really hoping for, not gonna lie. Pure Dragon I got in Valencia, and, big props to him. There's a lot of casters, like Wardy as well, that got, I think, their big shot this year. And I wanted to be on it, right? So, with them. So I finally got the invite to Montreal, and I was totally excited. And the actual event finally happens 1 or 2 months later. I forget how long it was. And the thing that I focused most on, and this might surprise people, is that I didn't focus necessarily on casting, although I did try and, up my game knowledge and, learn how to speak better and use bigger words and blah, blah, blah. I focused a lot on how I appeared on camera. I was more about camera presence and ease of listening that I focused on, as opposed to like being the most analytical or the most excited or something like that. And I think it worked out pretty well. I would occasionally lose my focus and maybe, you know, do one or two things wrong badly. But I think overall it was a positive experience. And again, I think I did a great job. I think the fans thought I did a great job. The audience in Montreal was just amazing. There's nothing quite like hearing the roar of the crowd to actually say like, hey, you're doing a decent enough job that the fans like you. And I thought, well, that's great. You know, hopefully we'll get more jobs next year, and maybe I'll shoot for BlizzCon 2018, which is, if you guys watched my last video, what I said, one of my goals was to get BlizzCon 2018. Well, little did I know that like a couple weeks after I made that video, that I would be invited to BlizzCon. So that floored me. That was something I just did not expect. My father had asked, a couple of people asked, even one or two people said like, well, I hope you do get it. Like, but I think, you know, I and most of the people would just be like, you know, it was her first WCS, you know, did she really do that great of a job to get BlizzCon? And apparently I did. So I was ecstatic. I was blown away. I was even a little bit emotional when I was like officially asked, and I don't get that emotional that often, but it was just a really validating thing, I suppose. Like Montreal was that shot that like maybe I did a good job, maybe I don't, but I was going to be given that shot, and then BlizzCon was the confirmation that I really did a good job. And I think at BlizzCon I also did a good job, but between that and the actual event, I also left Base Trade TV as the official permanent co-caster, or however the title really is. I never really came up with a title. And that is something that I already talked a little bit about, of course, in the post detailing why I left. And it's 100% true. I think it was a better move for me to continue opening up other areas of casting and my own brand, as opposed to just doing Base Trade TV. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was an awesome experience, but it was a very long time, and it was at times, you know, soaking up so much more than anything else would. And I was ready to kind of like move on to being my own captain, I suppose, you know? Something where I could choose the days and I could choose the events, and I could not have to, you know, kind of disappoint if I did leave for an event. You know, this is something that now we can plan around, and I can say like, I'm going to take this, this, and this, and I'm going to be gone for this, this, and this. And it works out, I think, in a lot of ways better for both of us. But not to talk too much about that. Rivkin's been awesome, kind of working out the details behind the scenes. I know a lot of people sometimes say like, it doesn't seem like I'm gone that much more than I was before. But I think it's absolutely different from my perspective. I think there are a lot of things behind the scenes that changed that were very impactful. And I think it was a good decision. And that's where, of course, I'll be talking mostly about 2018, where that decision has really led to. But that'll be for the next video. So that happened, and there's all the comments and drama and whatnot around that for the public. But it seems to have mellowed out by now. And then I went to BlizzCon, and I, at that point, was working on like really finer details of things, you know, again, increasing game knowledge, increasing word vocabulary, that was redundant vocabulary, learning how to just speak clearer, slower, you know, really put emphasis where I need it so that I was pleasant to listen to, as well as, you know, of course, knowledgeable about the game. People weren't really like, you know, what the hell this is grading, she's out of place, blah, blah, blah. But the one thing you can't really accommodate for, and there's actually a couple things you can't accommodate for, but is that at some point you lose quantifiable, is that the right word? Like goals, you know, there's no like, well, I'll know 70 build orders, maybe that's something you could put a number on, but that's not a bad idea. But it's, you know, it's weird to be like, well, I'm going to have 8 out of 10 on the banter skill. I mean, what is that really? Like, how do you learn to mesh with other people? A lot of people do that by just being around other people, like casting with other people. Experience will do you well. But when it comes to BlizzCon, there's so many people I still had to cast with. There's so many more people that were coming on. And it was really having to adapt. There's also different studios over a longer period of time, but it was really nice not having to worry about how I looked on camera. I think wardrobe was perfectly fine, and that the makeup actually did a great job. Hair specifically was awesome. I know some people had some other things to say about it, but I thought it looked totally fine. And that was actually a big relief. I know that sounds weird, but it really is. And then while there were some technical problems, it was like a group effort to kind of overcome. And there's a lot of things to be said about, I guess, who I cast with in the games and how many great games there were. I mean, I had great games with everyone that I cast with. I guess specifically comes to mind, of course, is Roddy and the ZBZ, and then with Maynard, the TY games. But the experience was magical, I guess. Like, I know it's kind of cliche, but it really was quite cool. And I don't want to harp on it too much and make this like a BlizzCon video instead of a 2017 video, but it was a very positive experience, and I thought that it just proved to myself that I could do kind of anything. So again, kind of going into the cliches, but if I could adapt and face that new challenge that is BlizzCon and be met with still positive reviews, then I guess I've really done it. So I guess that kind of leads up to the year review, as BlizzCon was the last final big thing that happened. Of course, there is still 2 months after that, but to be honest, not much has happened in the past 2 months. There was some detailing and fine-tuning of what my work would look like, and I've been building my stream, which I guess is something I should talk about, but my stream, I think, has been really awesome in its growth. Of course, you're going to hit stopping points, and maybe it'll never be as big as I want, and maybe I'm not a streamer, I'm a caster, but to go from what was like sub 50 subs, because I only streamed occasionally, to almost instantly going up to 200, what felt to be instantly, like a month and a half, to 200 subs just about. Well, I definitely take that. Like that's pretty good, and I hope to just continue doing better on the stream. I don't know what changed, but at some point I enjoyed streaming as opposed to dreading it, and now I'm trying to study what makes other people's streams so engaging. So that kind of was going into 2018, though. 2017, to be honest, the first half of it, despite awesome events, Nation Wars, California, all that, was a tough one for me, like mentally and emotionally. Just one thing or another, but the latter half of 2017 were maybe one of the best 6 months, half a year of my life. Lots of stepping stones, lots of goals achieved, lots of good feelings, and I just want to continue improving on that, and not just be like, well, I pretty much made it. So that'll be my next video. So if you're gonna stop watching here, or if you didn't ever get to this point, well, that's fine. It's 13-minute video. But if you liked it and enjoyed it, then please look at the other video that's coming up. Okay? Bye-bye.